Have you ever wondered what it is we're all really searching for? Beneath the endless chase for success, the restless pursuit of wealth, the longing for recognition, there is something far more simple, far more ancient, whispering at the core of our being. It is the desire to love and to be loved. That is the most fundamental human longing, and yet it is the one we spend our lives circling around, often without realizing it. Think about it. Everything you do, every ambition you chase, every dream you hold close to your heart, it all carries a secret hope. The hope that, somehow, in the end, it will lead to love. Not just the romantic kind, but love in its widest sense, the feeling of belonging, the experience of being seen for who you truly are, without masks, without judgment. That is the real meaning of life. Connection, presence, and a deep recognition that you are not separate from this universe, but a living expression of it. Yet, the strange paradox is this: most of us are running away from love while desperately chasing it. We think if we achieve more, if we accumulate more, if we prove ourselves enough, then finally we will be worthy. But love does not wait at the end of a finish line. It exists here, now, in the simple truth of your being. Like Alan Watts once suggested, life is not a journey with a destination, it is a dance. And love is the rhythm that carries the dance forward. Pause for a moment. Imagine your life as a river. The river doesn't hurry, it doesn't resist the rocks it flows. Its purpose is not to reach the ocean as quickly as possible, but to live each curve, each ripple, each reflection along the way. This is the soul journey we are on. And in this journey, the deepest discovery is not what you achieve, but who you become and how you open your heart to others along the path. That is self-discovery in its purest form. When you sit quietly and listen to yourself, you will notice that beyond the noise of fear and doubt, there is a silence. And in that silence, there is peace. Inner peace, the kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. It is in that space you realize you are love itself. The need to be loved is simply the universe in you, longing to remember its own unity. Success, as the world defines it, may fill your hands, but love fills your soul. What good is climbing the highest mountain if there is no one to share the view with? What meaning of life is left if the heart remains untouched? Success without love is like a song without melody, empty, mechanical, quickly forgotten. But love, whether given or received, makes every ordinary moment radiant, every breath sacred. And so, my friend, life is not asking you to be perfect. It is not demanding that you conquer every fear or achieve every dream before you are worthy of love. Life is gently whispering you are already enough. The fact that you exist, that you breathe, that you feel, this is proof that you are loved by existence itself. The stars, the oceans, the forests, they have conspired for billions of years just so you could be here, alive now. Can you feel the wonder of that? Perhaps the real life purpose is not to reach some final point, but to awaken to the beauty of this moment, to give love freely and to receive it humbly, to see that the person sitting beside you, the stranger passing by, even the one who hurt you, they too carry the same fundamental longing, to love and be loved. When you understand this, compassion blooms naturally. The walls of separation soften, and what was once conflict becomes connection. So as you move forward in your own soul journey, remember this: every act of kindness, every gesture of love, no matter how small, is not wasted. It ripples outward, touching lives you may never see. And in the end, it is not what you've acquired, but how deeply you've loved that will echo in eternity. Life, in all its mystery, is inviting you into this dance, into this music of existence. And the question is not whether you are worthy of love. The question is, are you willing to let it in? Would you like me to expand this into a slower, meditative style speech rhythm? Something that feels like it could be read aloud as a motivational talk, almost like a guided experience. Have you noticed how, no matter what paths we take, no matter the disguises we wear, There is a deep current pulling all of us in the same direction. We may name it differently. Some call it belonging, some call it connection, others speak of companionship or even divine union. But if we strip away the words, it comes down to one thing: the desire to love and to be loved. This longing is not a weakness. It is not a distraction from your goals. It is, in fact, the most fundamental essence of being human. Beneath all the strategies, the ambitions, the battles you fight to prove yourself, there is a very simple childlike wish that someone might look at you and see you for who you are, that your existence might matter, not because of what you've achieved, but because you are alive. So much of our confusion in life begins when we forget this. We run after success, as if it were a trophy waiting at the finish line, believing that once we hold it, then love will arrive. But the paradox is, the more we chase love through achievement, the further it seems to drift. We tell ourselves, if I become wealthy, they'll admire me. If I become powerful, they'll respect me. If I become beautiful, they'll desire me. But love is not born from fear or admiration. Love arises naturally when two souls recognize their shared humanity. And here lies a deep secret. Love doesn't wait for you at the end of your journey. It is already present at the beginning. Imagine life as a grand orchestra. The music is already playing. You do not need to wait for the final note to feel its beauty. You are meant to dance to it now. The soul journey you are on is not about finding love in the distance, but about remembering that love is the fabric of your very being. Think of your earliest memories, moments where perhaps a hand held yours, where laughter spilled from your chest without reason, where you felt safe simply existing. In those moments, there was no question of earning love. You didn't have to justify your worth. You were simply embraced by the miracle of being. This is the original state of the soul, and this is what we spend our lives longing to return to. But why do we lose touch with it? Why does the river of life, which begins so pure, become clouded by fear, doubt, and endless striving? Perhaps because somewhere along the way, we were told that love is conditional, that you must be someone special to deserve it, that you must first fulfill society's definition of success before you can rest in peace. And so we spend years trying to climb ladders, forgetting that the sky we long for is already open above us. I invite you to consider this. What if your greatest life purpose is not a career, not a title, not even a legacy, but the ability to love and be loved fully? What if inner peace is not found at the peak of your ambitions, but in the gentle acceptance that you are already enough? What if success is not measured by what you conquer, but by how much of your heart you allow the world to touch? We often mistake the meaning of life for something distant and abstract. But maybe the meaning of life is simply to be fully alive, to awaken to the wonder of the present moment. And love, in its many forms, is what makes that aliveness real. Without love, even the brightest achievements feel hollow. With love, even the smallest moments glow with eternity. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast ocean. You can spend your life building walls to protect yourself from the waves, or you can step in and let the water carry you. Love is that ocean. It is not something you control, it is something you surrender to. It may be terrifying at first, for it demands vulnerability. But in that surrender lies the deepest freedom you will ever know. We live in a world that glorifies independence, yet no one truly desires isolation. Even the strongest leaders, the wealthiest individuals, the most admired celebrities, behind closed doors, they yearn for the same thing as you: a touch of genuine affection, a place where they are not performing, where they are simply seen. This is the secret no success story will tell you, that without love, all victories feel like ashes. And here's another paradox. When you stop chasing love as if it were a prize, and instead embody love as your natural state, it flows to you effortlessly. When you radiate kindness, when you offer presence without expectation, When you see the humanity in others, you become a magnet. People are drawn not to your accomplishments, but to the warmth of your spirit. Love doesn't need to be hunted, it needs to be expressed. So perhaps the real question is not, how can I find love? But, how can I become love? Imagine the world if each of us carried this awareness. Imagine relationships not as contracts of exchange. I love you if you give me this. But as sacred mirrors where two souls remind each other of their shared essence. Imagine friendships where silence feels as rich as words. Imagine a society where we measure success not by the size of our bank accounts, but by the depth of our compassion. On your own path of self-discovery, you may notice that the moments that truly stay with you are not when you were the most accomplished, but when you were the most connected. Perhaps it was a late night conversation that stretched into dawn, a laugh so genuine that it dissolved your worries, or the quiet comfort of sitting with someone who needed no explanation. These moments, fleeting yet eternal, reveal the truth. Love is not something to achieve, it is something to notice. But to notice it, you must first slow down. The world pushes us to rush, to chase, to never pause. But love cannot be rushed. It is found in the spaces between, in the silence after the words, in the stillness of being present. Have you given yourself that silence lately? Have you listened to your own heart, not to judge, not to fix, but simply to understand? For until you love yourself, until you see your own worth, you will always doubt the love others offer. Loving yourself is not arrogance, it is acceptance. It is the gentle recognition that you are human, flawed, imperfect, and yet profoundly beautiful. It is realizing that your worth is not measured by your productivity, nor your achievements, but by your very existence. This realization is the gateway to inner peace. For when you love yourself, you stop demanding the world to fill your emptiness. You give freely, and in that giving, you receive more than you ever imagined. So I ask you now, quietly, sincerely, are you allowing love into your life? Or are you waiting for some imagined future where you'll finally be ready? Understand this. Love does not arrive when you are perfect. Love does not wait for you to heal every wound, solve every problem, achieve every goal. Love arrives in the midst of your brokenness, in the middle of your confusion, in the ordinary moments where you least expect it. Perhaps the greatest illusion is that we must chase after love. But love is not something you pursue, it is something you awaken to. Like the sun breaking through the clouds, it has always been there. The soul journey is not about finding love. It is about remembering that you are love. And so, if you take nothing else from these words, let it be this: the most fundamental human desire is not a weakness to overcome, but a truth to embrace. To love and to be loved is the highest calling of our existence. And in answering that call, you will discover the life purpose you've been searching for, the inner peace that has eluded you, the success that cannot be taken away, and the meaning of life itself, not as a distant answer, but as the very breath you are taking now. Do you know what's remarkable? Even when we spend years pretending we don't need love, some quiet corner of the heart refuses to be silenced. We distract ourselves with business, with goals, with possessions, but at the end of the day, when the noise has faded and the room grows quiet, what remains is the simple question, am I loved? Am I seen? And perhaps beneath that, an even quieter whisper, am I capable of loving? This whisper is not weakness. It is the voice of the soul calling you home. For love is not just about being cherished by another. It is about remembering your connection to all of life. It is about rediscovering that you are part of something vast, mysterious, eternal. That you are not an isolated drop in the ocean, but the ocean itself, momentarily experiencing life as a drop. And yet, how often do we forget this? We walk through the world as if separate, as if cut off from each other, carrying the illusion that we must fight alone. We chase recognition because we believe it will end our loneliness. But recognition is not the same as love. The world can cheer for your success. It can applaud your talents. It can admire your beauty. But admiration is not the nourishment of the heart. The nourishment of the heart is intimacy, authenticity, presence. Someone sitting with you, not because of your achievements, but because of your being. I want you to imagine for a moment an old man sitting by a fire at the end of his life. His hair is gray, his body tired, his possessions few. What do you think he remembers? Is it the meetings he attended, the titles he held, the numbers in his bank account? Or is it the faces, the moments of laughter, the embraces, the love shared in fleeting but eternal instants? You see, in the end, success without love becomes hollow. But love, even without worldly success, makes a life full. This is the paradox we keep missing. And perhaps this is why so many of us feel restless, even when we've made it. We tell ourselves, once I have the house, the car, the job, the admiration, then I will feel whole. But after achieving those, we often wake up with the same emptiness. Why? Because the soul doesn't feed on possessions. It feeds on love. Without it, we are like travelers carrying heavy bags of gold, but starving for bread. Your life purpose, then, cannot simply be about accumulation. It must be about connection. It must be about how deeply you are willing to engage with life, how much love you allow yourself to both give and receive. For love is not passive. It is an active engagement with the world. It is saying yes to life, even when it hurts, even when it confuses, even when it breaks you open. And make no mistake, love will break you open. It will strip away your defenses, dissolve your illusions, and demand your vulnerability. That is why so many fear it. We prefer the safety of control. But in holding on to control, we also hold on to loneliness. Inner peace is not found in building walls, but in allowing life to move through you freely, even when it terrifies you. Think of a flower blooming. It does not calculate whether the sun will shine tomorrow. It does not wait until conditions are perfect. It opens vulnerably, exposing its beauty to the world. And in that openness, it fulfills its purpose. You too are meant to bloom, not behind closed armor, but in the radiant vulnerability of love. This is why self-discovery is inseparable from love. To truly discover yourself, you must allow yourself to be seen. And to allow yourself to be seen, you must risk love. Many people spend their whole lives searching for themselves in solitude, as if identity were a puzzle to be solved alone. But the deepest truths of who you are often revealed in relationship, in how you love, in how you respond to love, in how you soften when someone sees through your mask. Yes, solitude is sacred. Yes, silence is powerful. But isolation is not the same as freedom. We are not meant to carry the journey alone. Even the most profound spiritual teachers, the saints and sages of history, spoke not only of enlightenment, but of compassion, not only of wisdom, but of love. They saw clearly that the soul journey is not just upward. It is outward. Toward others, toward unity. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you truly allowed someone to see you? Not the version of you polished for the world, not the success story, not the persona, but you raw and unguarded. When was the last time you let yourself receive love without suspicion, without asking if you deserved it? And when was the last time you gave love without condition, without expecting a return? These are the questions that open the doorway to inner peace. Because peace does not come from eliminating chaos. Peace comes from embracing life as it is, from seeing that even the imperfections are part of the dance. The meaning of life is not hidden in a perfect tomorrow. It is revealed in your willingness to love today, in this imperfect moment, with this imperfect self. I know it is not easy. To love is to risk heartbreak, to invite loss, to surrender control. But is not life itself the same? Every breath you take is temporary. Every moment is fleeting. Yet in that very fleetingness lies the beauty. Flowers are beautiful because they fade. Sunsets move us because they end. Love is precious because it is fragile. And yet, strangely, though each expression of love is temporary, love itself is eternal. It is the thread that runs through all of existence, binding the stars and the soil, the rivers and the veins, the stranger and the self. When you love, you are not merely experiencing a private emotion. You are tuning into the very rhythm of the cosmos. This is why love feels like home, because it is. So then, what is success? If success is not measured by possessions or power, what is its true form? Success, I would say, is the courage to love. It is the strength to remain open in a world that urges you to close. It is the willingness to embrace your own vulnerability and the vulnerability of others. It is living in such a way that when the old man by the fire looks back on his life, he smiles. Not because he conquered, but because he loved. This is not to dismiss ambition or achievement. Work, creation, growth, all these have their place. But they are not the essence, they are the expressions. A tree's branches stretch high not because it seeks to prove itself, but because it is rooted in love with the earth. Your ambitions, too, must be rooted in love if they are to bring fulfillment. Ask yourself, why do you pursue what you pursue? Is it fear or is it love? Do you strive for recognition because you fear invisibility, or do you create because you love to express? Do you chase wealth because you fear lack, or do you build because you love to contribute? The difference is subtle, but it is everything. When your life purpose arises from love, success follows naturally, not as something you chase, but as something you embody, and in that embodiment you find inner peace. Because peace is not the absence of struggle, it is the presence of love. Even in difficulty, even in heartbreak, when love is present, peace remains. Like a flame flickering in the wind, it may waver, but it does not extinguish. So if the most fundamental human desire is to love and be loved, then the most fundamental human challenge is to remember it. To remember it in a world that distracts you with endless desires, that convinces you to measure yourself by shallow standards. To remember it when fear whispers that you are not enough. To remember it when pain tempts you to close your heart. And if you can remember, if you can hold that truth close, that love is your essence, that love is your purpose, then your soul journey will unfold with a grace beyond anything you could plan. For the meaning of life is not to reach a destination, but to dance in love along the way. It is a strange thing, isn't it? How much effort we spend resisting the very thing we most desire. We long to love and be loved, yet we guard ourselves with walls so high that few can climb them. We tell ourselves we're protecting our hearts from hurt, from disappointment, from loss. But in doing so, we often protect ourselves from the very life we are meant to live. Fear whispers to us, if you open yourself, you will be broken. And yes, love may break you. But have you not already felt the deeper emptiness of never letting anyone in? A heart that refuses to love may avoid pain, but it also avoids joy. It becomes a fortress. Safe, yes, but silent and cold. The soul did not come here to live in a fortress. The soul came here for the wildness of the journey, for the vulnerability of connection, for the risk that gives meaning to existence. And here is the mystery when you risk love. When you open yourself to life fully, even heartbreak becomes part of your awakening. Even loss teaches you something sacred. It reveals how deeply you are capable of caring, how wide your heart truly is. Pain in this way is not a sign of weakness, but of depth. A soul that has never loved enough to ache has not yet discovered its true strength. I sometimes think of life as a great tapestry. Each thread is an experience, each color a feeling, each knot a challenge. From up close it may appear chaotic, tangled, senseless. But step back and you see a pattern. Step further back and you realize the pattern is woven not just of your own life, but of every life, interconnected, inseparable. And at the center of this tapestry, binding all the threads together, is love. Without it, the whole design unravels. You may call it God, the universe, energy, consciousness. Names do not matter. What matters is this: the force that births galaxies, that breathes life into your lungs, that keeps the stars burning. That force is love. And you, in your longing to love and be loved, are simply echoing the heartbeat of creation. This is why no amount of external achievement can satisfy the inner hunger. You can fill your days with work, your home with possessions, your walls with awards, but unless love flows through your life, the hunger remains. Success without love is like drinking salt water. It promises to quench your thirst, but leaves you emptier. So let us reconsider success. Perhaps success is not about climbing higher, but about sinking deeper. Not about being above others, but about being with them. Success may not be measured by how many people know your name, but by how many hearts feel your presence. And when you measure life this way, you discover that even the smallest gestures, a smile, a kind word, a moment of listening, carry more weight than the grandest accomplishments. Your life purpose, then, may not be some grand destiny written in the stars, but something beautifully simple: to live as love, to give it, to receive it, to let it shape the world around you. Imagine how different our lives would be if we carried this awareness. Imagine walking into every room, not asking, "What can I gain?" but asking, "How can I love here?" That shift alone could transform not only your own soul journey, but the entire world. And isn't that what inner peace truly is? Not the absence of conflict, but the presence of love so steady that conflict cannot shake it. A heart anchored in love is like a tree rooted deeply in the earth. Storms may come, winds may howl, but the tree remains. Peace is not something fragile to be protected, but something strong to be lived. You see, self-discovery is not about adding more to yourself, but about removing the layers that cover the truth. Beneath the masks, beneath the defenses, beneath the stories you tell yourself, there is a being made of love. That being does not need to be improved. It only needs to be remembered. And remembering is what this journey, this life, is all about. Sometimes we ask, what is the meaning of life? As though it were hidden in a distant riddle, as though it were some secret whispered only to mystics. But perhaps the meaning of life is not something to be solved. Perhaps it is something to be lived, and love is the living of it. Think about it. Why does a song move you? Not because it explains something logically, but because it touches you emotionally. It vibrates with your being. Life is like that. It is not meant to be dissected until you have the answer written neatly on paper. It is meant to be danced, sung, embraced. And in that dance, love is the rhythm, the melody, the harmony all at once. Have you noticed how the moments when you feel most alive are often the simplest? Watching the sunrise in silence, holding someone's hand, laughing until your stomach aches. These moments may not impress the world, but they awaken the soul. Why? Because they are saturated with love, and the soul recognizes itself in love. It feels at home. You might ask, but what about pain? What about betrayal, loss, heartbreak? If love is the meaning, why does it hurt so much? The answer is not to avoid love, but to see that even pain carries its own kind of love. For is not grief the proof of love's depth? We grieve because we loved. We ache because something mattered. Even in loss, love is present, wearing the mask of sorrow. This does not make the pain less real, but it makes it sacred. Your heartbreak is not meaningless. It is evidence that you have lived, that your soul has dared to connect, that you have tasted what it means to be human. And when you heal, you do not heal by erasing the love. You heal by expanding enough to carry it, by realizing that love never truly leaves. It changes form, but it remains. And so, the invitation is this: let love break you open, let it shape you, let it lead you. Trust that even in the breaking there is beauty. For a heart that has been broken is not weaker, it is wider. It can hold more. It can understand more. It can embrace more of the human experience, And in that embrace lies true wisdom. On this soul journey, you will encounter many teachings, many philosophies, many voices offering answers. But beneath them all, if you listen carefully, is the same message to love and be loved. Whether it is spoken by a poet, a mystic, a philosopher, or the child next door, it is always the same truth, wearing different clothes. And the reason is simple: love is universal. It transcends culture, religion, language, time. It is the common thread of existence. So do not underestimate the power of your own love. You may think your small acts do not matter, but they ripple outward in ways you cannot imagine. A smile offered to a stranger may lift them on a day they were ready to give up. A word of kindness may echo in someone's heart for years. Your love is not small, it is infinite, because it is connected to the source of all life. And here is where your self-discovery becomes most powerful. For when you realize that you are not lacking love, but are love itself, you stop seeking it desperately in others. You give it freely, and in that giving you receive. Love is not a currency to be exchanged. It is a light to be shared, and the more you share it, the brighter it burns. So let your life purpose be simple. Let it be love. In your work, love. In your silence, love. In your failures, love. In your triumphs, love. And watch how the universe responds. For when you align with love, you align with the very heartbeat of creation. And in that alignment, there is a joy, a peace, a success deeper than anything the world can measure. If there is any conclusion at all to this long wandering meditation, it is perhaps that there is no conclusion. Because love itself has no ending. The most fundamental human desire, to love and be loved, is not something to be resolved, but something to be lived. We come into this world already loved, already part of the great web of life. We spend our years forgetting and remembering, closing and opening, doubting and rediscovering. But again and again, the lesson returns that success without love is empty, that self-discovery without compassion is incomplete, that the meaning of life is not an answer waiting at the end of the road, but a rhythm pulsing in every step you take. So let your soul journey be guided not by fear of failure, not by the endless hunger for approval, but by love. Love for yourself, love for others, love for life itself in all its mystery. Let inner peace be your anchor. Let compassion be your measure of success. And let the purpose of your life be simply this: to remember that you are love and to give it away freely. And as you walk forward from here, may you carry this truth lightly, not as a burden, not as a demand, but as a simple invitation from existence itself to love and to be loved.